I'm going to ask that you stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shirley, would you call the roll, please?
Here. Walker.
Here.
Stagey.
Here.
Brian Cruz.
Here.
Baczynski.
Yes.
On the meeting agenda for tonight, we have under department and committee reports. Item A is our monthly report from Operations Services, formerly Wade Trim. Item B is the Board of Review minutes. C is the Zoning Administrator's report. D is the DDA report, the Director's report, and you have the minutes in your packet. E is the Develop Filer Ad Hoc Committee. You have those minutes in your packet from their December meeting. F is the Personnel Committee, which has not met. G, the Planning Commission, and their minutes are in your packet. H and I, the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Elections Commission has not met. J, Building and Grounds Committee, the minutes from the actually the November meeting, they did not meet in December. K, you have the Fire Department report in your packet, and L, the PEG Committee's report is also in your packet. Under new business for tonight, we have consideration of adoption of an ordinance to amend Charter Township of Filer Code of Ordinances by adding new Chapter 35 to secure the public health and safety and general welfare of the residents and property owners of the Charter Township of Filer and visitors to the township by regulating short-term rental properties to prevent public nuisances and safety hazards and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. B is consideration of adoption of an ordinance to amend Chapter 41, a weeds ordinance of the Charter Township of Filer Code of Ordinances, and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. C is consideration of approval of an ordinance approving amendments to the development plan and tax increment financing plan number 1993-1 of the Downtown Development Authority of the Charter Township of Filer as amended, and repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith. Item D is discussion and consideration of a joint meeting with between the Township Board and the DDA Board in January to discuss and explore possibilities of development of the 20-acre township property parcels. E is discussion of a presentation by Mark Miller, Executive Director of the Manistee Chamber of Commerce, at our February or March meeting. And under addendums, thank you, Tom. Under addendums, we have item F, which actually I would like to strike at this time and consider that at a future meeting, and in its place put D&L Shaw under new business for approval to do approximately 8 more hours of work at Magoon Creek in the spring, dealing with the autumn olive issue. And then I would also like to add item G, appointment of Matt Johnson to the Develop Filer Ad Hoc Committee, pending approval from his employer. He, at the DDA meeting this afternoon, expressed an interest in serving on that committee, and we do have a vacancy on that committee, so if we can approve that tonight, then he can be an active participant in that next upcoming meeting this month. And if there are no other additions or deletions to the meeting agenda for tonight, I would entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Cruz, motion by Dean Cruz, support by Brian Cruz to approve the meeting agenda for tonight. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Under the consent agenda for tonight, we have item A, the minutes of the regular board meeting, which was held December 3rd, 2019. B is the financial report. Item C is approval of the Township General Fund expenditures, including the fire department. And those include checks numbered 37226 through 37313, with accounts payable totaling $48,305.75, payroll totaling $12,565.55 for a grand total of $60,871.30. Item D is approval of water department expenditures, checks numbered 2678 through 2691, totaling $65,015.74. Item E is approval of the sewer operating expenditure, checks 1065 through 1068, totaling $1,606.04. F is approval of the monthly ACH payments to the state of Michigan and the IRS in the amount of $3,252.48. G is approval of township board members to attend the free regional education seminar on January 23rd, 2020 in Mount Pleasant. H is approval for the Board of Review training, which will be held on February 18th, 2020 at Cherry Grove Event Center in Cadillac at a cost of $20 per person. I is approval for township board members to attend the annual MTA conference April 27th through the 30th of 2020 at the Grand Traverse Resort in Acme at a cost of $353 each plus accommodations. J is approval for the township supervisor to attend the National Rural Water Rally, February 3rd through the 5th, 2020 in Washington, D.C. at a cost of $399 for registration and $418 airfare and meals. Item K is a budget amendment in the amount of $10,000 moving from the fund balance of the general fund to the planning miscellaneous. And not in front of you, but I would like to add item L. I just got a quote today from Dornbos Signs for the purchase of 4 signs at a cost of $107.20. These are signs that we'll be posting out at Magoon, indicating the danger from, I was out there yesterday and we have lost a good portion of dune out there. In fact, I put pictures in front of you there. That's where there once was a dune, now it's about a 20-foot drop. And so we want to put some signs out there warning the public of that. And so I've ordered, got a cost for 4 signs at $107.20. We have 3 locations. We're going to place them right now, and I thought I'd get an extra one just in the event if that erosion continues to expand to the north, as we anticipate it will. Item M, again, this is a quote that I just got today regarding a flow logger wireless data device that goes with our flow meter. I got a call from Rick Moore yesterday that indicated he was not able to get flow data he needed at the end of December, and when he looked into it, it was because our contract had expired. So I did contact them today, and that's the quote that I put in front of you also. It's, I think I put it in front of you. Yeah, the flow logger renewal is at the cost of $343. And that is an annual, it'll be an annual renewal. I did express to them today that they need to send out information in advance on the expiration of those, and they've set it up so that we'll get a 90-day notice for renewal on that next year, because I told them I guarantee you next year the same thing's going to happen without notification. So anyway, that's all I have on the consent agenda, and unless you have any other additions, we would need a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I've got a motion by Brian Cruz, support by one of the Toms, Tom Staggy, to approve the consent agenda for tonight. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have tonight with us Mark Solden from the Road Commission for his annual report. And Mark, I want to thank you for the packet of information you gave us. There's a lot of interesting information there in regard to the some of the statistics historically in Manistee County. And I'm sure the board members found that also as interesting reading as I did. And in the interest of time, I guess, if there's anything you want to highlight there, that's fine. But mainly, I want you to talk about the projects and costs for the upcoming year and the year past.
From the Road Commission, Celebrate all, one of our road commissioners. Yeah, I've given you pretty much a pretty detailed package, so I'm not going to go through that, in detail. Just basically some quick updates. I know there's a few things. I know you had some, potential projects for, possibly doing this year. And I'd like to maybe sometime, possibly meet with you, a few of you to kind of go through that. I know there's a lot of paved roads that are in kind of very poor condition that need work. So, and I know it's tough to select locations.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Mark, because there were three things that we had submitted, and certainly Tom and Brian, I can sit down with you and talk about those. That'd be great.
Yep, so we can do that. And just wanted to mention, as far as under the 2020 projects this year, of course you're aware that Murphy Road, we are looking at doing Murphy Road, basically resurfacing, kind of wedging, resurfacing, putting what they call like 3-foot wide crushing paved shoulders. And that will be, this summer. We're basically tentatively taking bids for that in February 17th. Our consultant is currently working on the design. One major project, Stronic Road, between US 31 and M55. The design is almost complete on that. Actually, later on this week, we plan to advertise for bids and take bids on February 3rd. That's the project when the big Manistee River Bridge is being replaced, which is supposed to start in late 2020, and then the majority of 2021, Stronic Road will be used as a depot. And so MDOT is basically paying to resurface all of Stronic Road from 31 to M55. So we are taking bids on February 3rd, for that project. Give me some guardrail upgrading along with it. I know on the bridge project, I talked to MDOT within the last few weeks or month. They plan on having a public open house, I believe sometime in June or July, I believe they indicated. And 10-1, I think they're probably going to have it at the Manistee Township Hall. Rick Cliptech from MDOT gave me a call a while ago just to get some phone numbers. So And I know the other project, with small urban funding, the Maple Road, Murphy Road resurfacing, that's still on schedule for 2023. I know there's always a desire to get it done beforehand, but that's, right now, that's pretty much what the schedule is. So, the worst part is just south of 12th Street. And, basically updates as far as the road commission goes, winter maintenance when winter comes, and then obviously when we're not doing winter maintenance, working on trees, still have a lot of pothole patching to do. The mechanics and everybody here, have a lot of stuff to work on, as far as the trucks go and stuff in the facility. Last year's projects in 2019, we completed about 63 miles of road preservation, basically blacktop, wedging, chip seal, and fog seal. A little over 3 miles of road resurfacing. That was mainly the Snyder Road project, which was partially funded with a grant for the M55 Cooley Bridge project, which finally got completed in late, middle of December. I think we opened it up to traffic. And yeah, I did include basically a preliminary list of projects for this year. And, so far we have, I think, basically a total of about 50 miles of road preservation again, blacktop wedging chips and fog seal. And then about 10 miles of road resurfacing. And then the high bridge over the Big Manistee River, that's going to have what they call a preventative maintenance project done. That's basically with state funds and road commission funding, where they're going to basically do some work on the existing concrete deck, some of the bridge railing where it's kind of falling apart. They're going to work on that, and then there's some what they call transverse joints in the deck. Those will be, replaced. So, that will be closed, during the summertime for a while. There's also that work to be done. They got traffic. The funding, I know in Lansing, there's always discussion of, potentially some additional funding. Back in 2015, they did pass the legislation where, like starting in early 2017 with the increase in the gas tax and vehicle registration fees, we are seeing an increase, and then eventually by 2021 that will be indexed to inflation. So, we definitely are seeing benefit. A lot of that, like a lot of the road preservation work that we are doing on the county primary system, that is, mainly because of the additional funding that we are receiving. So, what happens in Lansing, I just time will tell. At one point in time, we're trying to increase the gas tax by 45 cents a gallon, which isn't really going to happen. So I think there's no discussion on other options. So we do have 4 seasonal truck drivers that are working with a full-time staff. We do have a total of 31 full-time employees. And as far as snowfall so far, our unofficial documentation, we have roughly about 50 inches to date as compared to roughly about 25 inches last year. We'll see what the winter brings. Lately it's been kind of, hit and miss, maybe an inch or so here or there, but it's obviously early in November this year. So, but I don't want to hold you up too long tonight. Obviously, we have a full agenda, so I'll answer any questions that you might have. So.
Any questions of Mark?
I just feel we got to get on that to get a few more roads done.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to, as soon as we can, obviously, when the pavement's there, we could take a look at some of these, and we'll be giving you a few roads to take a look at. But I know looking at the pavement ratings, like say, for example, like Price Road, we were talking like a small section, but almost the entire section from, like east of 31 to Link Road is back in 2017, it was rated to be like a paved too, so a lot of these we want to really look at, try to do blacktop wedging or chip seal or fog seal, try to extend the surface life as much as possible. Obviously, like West Fox Farm, there was a lot of work done on that in that first section off the Red Apple. That really needed a lot of blacktop overlay work. So the sooner the better. Try to get some of these where you can at least extend the service life for the time being, which will hopefully resurfacing and crying out and being something. But I can get.
I'll get in touch with you, Mark, and we'll set something up for the three of us to meet with you.
Okay. Anything else?
Any other questions, Brian?
Okay, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Mark. Sally, thank you. Under communications announcements, you have in your packet an email from Sherry Cox. And that takes us to public comment. Public comment.
Is this on any items or just?
Yeah. It's open.
For new business item 8?
Go ahead. Yeah, if you'd like to step to the podium and make sure the microphone's on, the little green light will be on if it's on.
I got a green light. I'm John Bowers. I live on College Avenue. I reviewed the Filer Township zoning map that shows that I live in a medium-density residential district. I then looked at the zoning ordinance Article 40 covering the medium-density residential, and under permit uses was a single-family dwelling and any use, building, or structure accessory thereto. Under definitions, a dwelling single family is a detached building or structure designed for or occupied by one family only. Family has two definitions. The first, an individual or group of two or more persons related by blood, marriage, or adoption. The second is a collective number of individuals domiciled together in one dwelling unit, whose relationship is of a continuing, non-transient, domestic character, and who are cooking and living as a single nonprofit housekeeping unit. Any other types of uses fall under special uses section of the ordinance. I found nothing in the current zoning ordinance that covers or defines renting. I think it is time the renting issue is covered in detail in our zoning ordinance. For me, living where I do, I don't expect to see different people in cars next door every week or month. When this happens, the dwelling isn't being used as a single-family residence, but a tourist home. The council may hear from those who rent that they must do so in order to cover their mortgage or taxes. This is a concern for their financial institution, not the filer board. Your duties are to assure that those holding title in each of the zone districts abide by the ordinances as written and decide when, by definition, a single-family home stops being used as such and has become a profitable business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to talk?
Sure. Any other public comment?
Hello, my name is Clara Kale. I've been a resident here since 2000, and I also live in the same neighborhood as John, Lakeland Recreation Association, out on Fox Farm Road. Thanks for the chance to speak today. The difference between renting and owning a home and tourist versus full-time home requires different needs for different people. And I think that this is a discussion that's happening all over the country. I did send you a letter earlier, so you should have it there if it hasn't been distributed. And so it's good that Filer's having this conversation as well. My key points that I wanted to make in speaking tonight was that the licensing for short-term rentals makes sense to discuss. And however, I would put up some caution to think about the, I've used the word targeting, the targeting of this specific group of people that has short-term rentals. There are long-term rentals that, you know, also have their pros and cons, and there are full-time owners that have homesteaded properties here that also have pros and cons, depending on how they take care of their property. It seems to me the application process is pretty extensive, asking for the site plan and the actually doing the walkthrough, having to determine if this, you know, size of your septic tank and so forth would accommodate the types of rentals that you would be doing. Makes sense, but it also makes sense for everyone, not just people with short-term rentals. A number of the criteria that were listed in the proposal, it seems to me would impact everyone. You know, aren't all property owners responsible for their trash? Aren't all property owners responsible if they have cars parked out in front, taking up the road or blocking the roadway? I have construction across the street from my house right now, and trash sitting out by their road, well, went out Monday before Christmas, and it was there again Friday when it was finally picked up, overflowing, blowing around the neighborhood. Lots of trucks coming and going all the time, blocking traffic. So as I'm reading through this, I'm thinking, gosh, these are some of my neighbors that you're talking about here, and they're not even renting. They live there. They often file complaints to people who are renting, and sadly, but have a sense of privilege in that they themselves wouldn't have to follow the rules. I would say when it comes to health and safety, the biggest problem in our neighborhood would be large parties being held right at our own association site. Weddings, graduation parties, dozens and dozens and dozens of cars. And how's that septic system? Why are we not focused on places that have large groups of people all the time, as opposed to someone that might be renting a cottage to one family 3 weekends a year? According to this criteria that's been developed in the proposal, that family that rents to one family 3 weekends a year would fall under this criteria and have to go through this extensive process to be able to get this license. The other key point I want to make is that since we have quite a discussion, debate, and two completely different sides in our neighborhood for this very topic of renting. And what I see here is giving almost a license to people who are against renting of all kinds, or of people being in our neighborhood they don't know. I've even had my family members approached and saying, well, who are you and why are you here? And, well, I'm here visiting my sister. This is actually like a handbook for them to start filing for formal complaints, which you will see. If there's more than 10 people walking to a house, you will see formal complaints. If there are parking spots that aren't, you know, paved and 10 by 20 for each car, they will be out there measuring. They will be taking care of this by in the context of bullying, to which I have been a receiver of that bullying for many years now. And so I would ask you in detail to take a look at the criteria Do they really need to be paved parking spaces just for these people, where anyone else can have gravel? Do they really need to have a copy of effective well permits? Fine, but how about the rest of us? Why aren't we all having copies of effective well permits in order? I filled out a site plan before. When I built a shed, as so many of our neighbors did not get permits, but I did. And when I got my permit and I filled out that site plan, it was pretty extensive. If you're a contractor, that was kind of easy. But I was back and forth many times, so got to get that diagonal from the corner of the deck out to the shed. Got to make sure you have every item on there. Well, okay, I suppose that's good to have documented. But when those kinds of things are being targeted at one specific group of people who are having short-term rentals, because, why are they doing that? John mentioned, well, it's because they're trying to pay for their mortgage and their taxes. Well, right now they're probably trying to save their house from going over the edge with all the erosion and the cost of doing that. And I say the financial wherewithal and the opinions of people who have chosen to rent their cottages and vacation places, that is very important. That we shouldn't think of ourselves as people of privilege where we don't have to worry about their problems, and that we also need to be fair. So when someone in my neighborhood has a gathering and they're all parked up by the road where you have to kind of work your way through there, that's okay, but not if they're renting. The exclusions that you have, I'd ask you to reconsider those as well. It's nice to have exclusions for somebody who's renting a couple times a year. Great, that's fine. But if I rent 3 times to one person, then I'm beyond the 2 rental period exclusion. So now I've had one person in my house for 3 weekends, and I need to go through this process. Yet right down the street can be yet another wedding with dozens and dozens of cars, dozens and dozens. Gee, do they have enough bathrooms for that many people? Do they have enough sewage space for that many people? That's not even question.
Excuse me.
It's targeting short term.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
But I'm going to ask you to wrap up.
I will.
I've exceeded your 3 minutes.
Oh, I didn't hear the 3-minute limit. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so I will wrap that up, asking you to please give this some more consideration. Consider the letters that have been written in, both pros and cons for short-term rentals. And I really appreciate your time in listening to our concerns this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes, you're welcome, Mark. Thank you, Sally.
Yeah, thanks for our road.
Just again, we do ask that our public comment on a particular topic be limited to approximately 3 minutes.
No problem. Thank you. My name is Carol Marshall, and I do live in the same area that the last 2 people spoke, in Lakeland Association. I applaud you for putting this together. I think the restrictions are very fair, and in contrary to the previous speaker, some of those things we should be following. Everyone should have a water permit and a sewer permit, and watch the cars on the street. And I think people try and do that. When we have weddings and things like that, those are like 1 week in a year. However, I'm not crazy about the short-term rental at all. I like the rules, except at the timing. We don't want a transient neighborhood. And when you have short-term rentals, you are encouraging that. I would rather see a short-term rental be 30 days or more. By having it the 27 days or less, or 28 days or less, you're having people come and go every other weekend, even though they may not be the same people. So that's one point that I want to make. And the other point I want to make is, how is this being monitored? Assuming you pass this ordinance, who will be monitoring? Will the other neighbors be calling all the time by looking at the signs? Because I know that we've had other instances in the neighborhood that we have reported to the board, and it hasn't been monitored. and it continues to go on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Paul Tucci. I'm Carol's neighbor. And the first thing I want to say is we've been coming up here for about 10 years now. And we discovered this place, all of this area, only because we rented somebody's house that was just a little house over off of the little lake over there on the other side. Bar Lake. Great place. I love all of our neighbors. I love living on Fox Farm. People who are on either side of this issue, I get it. This is a thing. I had written a very quick email saying that a lot of what I read in this proposal is already, it seems to be already codified in some fashion within our Lakeland Association, which is this fairly large. I mean, it's got to cover a couple hundred people, I think. And there's a lot of rules and a lot of things that one ought to do just to be civilized in general. And I feel like a lot of these issues that you're hearing about are things which, if somebody's got a house that they're renting, we rent our house out, but we don't rent it out to like have 10 cars. We don't do that. It's just there's just no way. But if the people who are offended by the renting want to talk to each other about it, then that seems to be the way in which that things go down on this street. From what I can tell, I've been there for 6 years. So they resolve things, they talk about it. So I think that any kind of these regulations that are being imposed by the township should really be just either encapsulated in bold more within our association rules. If people are like crazily renting out their place, then somebody should have a talk with them. And I think that, whatever you decide to do, I just want you to consider all of the all of these opinions, because there are, including Sherry Cox's letter, but there's probably, 25 other people that would write letters or just didn't bother to attend the meeting. And just to consider that there's a lot of other sides to it, and a lot of this stuff is already sort of included within the association rules in which we abide. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yes, brief.
I just want to correct something that Paul said. The association has rules, but they're not the rules like these rules. The association has reviewed these situations for years now and have not been able to come up with a set of rules or regulations that everyone has agreed to. That's why we're looking to the township. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Cindy Russell, and I live at Fox Farm and Lakeland Association. And I just want to say that I have lived there almost 40 years, and we moved there to raise our kids, to be in a neighborhood, to have neighbors, not strangers next door to us every week in the summer. And it doesn't affect me because my neighbors don't rent. Some people do. And they have moved up here, or they're visiting their cottage, and they have 8, it could be 12, 15 strangers in their backyard every week in the summer, or every other week in the summer. But I just want to say that I applaud you for doing what you're doing, because I think it's important. It's taking away from the neighborhood and the hotels, and we all, when we go on vacation, we act different. We treat things differently. And when you're paying that much money for a property, say $2,000 to $4,000 a week, you kind of feel like you really own the place. But these are strangers next door to you that you live there with your family every week in the summer when you're outside. So I just want to say I applaud what you have put together. Thank you.
Anyone else? Last chance. Okay, moving on then to department and committee reports. You have in your packets the monthly report from Operation Services concerning the water usage. And you have the board review minutes from their December 11th meeting in your packets. Also included under item C, Larry Thompson's report. Item D, you have the DDA minutes from the December 3rd meeting in your packet, as well as the director's report included there. Item F in your packet is the ad hoc committee, develop filer ad hoc committee minutes from the December 9th meeting. And item F, the personnel committee has not met in the past month. Item G, the planning commission meeting minutes are in your packet for their December 17th meeting. And the Zoning Board of Appeals, nor the Elections Commission has not met in the past month. That takes us to item J. Actually, Building and Grounds did not meet last month either, so that is not, there are no minutes in your packet. Item K, the fire department report is in your packet. Jim, is there anything you want to add to the report?
The report indicates that we received a very generous donation from PCA, and we get the training was fine, and we have concluded that we need some extrication equipment that we would like to purchase using that money that PCA generously donated to us. So it's something we would have a quote from Fastenal for some extrication equipment that we'd like to purchase, and use that those funds for that purpose. Basically, it's a precipitating saw, variant harness, precipitating saw, and a blower, and some blades, and 2 drills. When we were training doing excavation in our department, was found that the precipitating saw was much better than the way that we have been doing it in the past with the hand saw. It's faster. Does less damage and doesn't work last well, but it doesn't do anything. It's equipment that we would definitely be compact enough to put on our truck, and we still have our jaws equipment, but it's just been against that.
And the 18-volt two-tool combo kit, Jim, what is that?
Those are the drills.
The drills, okay.
One's an impact driver, and the other one's a regular driver.
So those, that totals $1,425.41 then?
That's correct.
Okay. And that can all be taken care of with
That's
the...
off from town, and it's along Milwaukee, drive.
Okay, and it's all with the funds utilized for PCA then? Okay.
They donated $2,000. Like to use that to purchase
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of equipment totaling $1,425.41 for the fire department.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Walker, supported by Brian Cruz, to approve the purchase totaling $1,425.41 from Fastenal for extrication equipment to be used by the fire department. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else, Jim? Okay, thank you. Also in your package, you have the report from the Peg Commission Barry, is there anything else you wanted to add to that report? Okay, that takes us to new business. Yeah, we will have another comment time conclusion. Okay, item A under new business is consideration of adoption of an ordinance to amend the Charter Township of Filer Code of Ordinances by adding new chapter 35 to secure the public health, safety, and general welfare of the residents and property owners of the Charter Township of Filer and visitors to the township by regulating short-term rental properties to prevent public nuisances and safety hazards and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. And we have had a lot of input tonight. Appreciate everyone coming out to provide their input, both pro and con. And like someone said, this is not new and unique to Filer Township. Municipalities all over are dealing with this. And it's something that we have been hearing about for a number of years as well.
I'd like to hear Richard's
I was just going to say, if Richard wants to give us your...
Sure. I appreciate all the comments that I heard. I read Clara. Yep, I read Clara's letter that was delivered to me earlier this afternoon. We have basically two choices. We can do nothing or we can do something when it comes to short-term rentals. Short-term rentals are, for the most part, held by the Michigan courts not to be a residential use of property, but are a commercial use of property, and are normally outlawed and not allowed in a residential district. Okay. Now, just because the Court of Appeals says that doesn't stop people from renting their property on a short-term basis through Airbnb or just through their own private contact. The evil that we're trying to address here, and the Planning Commission looked at when we looked at this ordinance, was the nuisance factor in the local neighborhoods that are created by rentals where the property owner is absent. And Clara had a couple of examples in her letter. One was the Boy Scout troop that came to the Boy Scout master's house, slept out in tents overnight for the weekend. Why is that would be a short-term rental? You know, why should we have a licensed Boy Scout troop? And there was another example, I think it was somebody had college friends over for the weekend kind of thing, and they don't pay for the food. I don't know what other college friends that I have, because my college friends have never paid for anything. But my point is that in both of those instances, those are not short-term rentals in either case. And the reason they're not short-term rentals is because of the way we define what a rental is in this ordinance. If the property owner is on the premises, he or she can have as many people as he or she wants come visit them, come stay overnight, and whether they pay for food or whether they pay for an activity fee, it's simply not a rental because the owner is there, and at least theoretically the owner will prevent his or her guests from disturbing the other neighbors in the neighborhood. That doesn't happen when the owner of the property is a corporation or a real estate investment trust located in Los Angeles. Okay? That is simply, at that point, it's simply a vacant house that some investors in California are making a return on their investment by renting it out on a weekly basis during the summer, during the ski season, during the winter, and so on. The point of the ordinance is to address those circumstances, require that there be a local person or somebody responsible for the property, so that when the nuisance activities begin, when the 10 frat brothers come up and rent the house for the week and have all-night bonfires and drinking parties in the backyard that are keeping the other neighbors up, that there is somebody local, not the owner, which is, as I said, is a real estate investment trust in Los Angeles, but somebody local that you can call up, the neighbors can call up, because that person's number is on the sign on the outside of the house, and say, listen, you know, we're having a problem with your renters, come fix it. Or, you know, we'll turn you in. We'll file a complaint with the township, and the township will revoke your permit to operate this as a license. Those are the kind of circumstances that we're trying to avoid. It's important to know what the size of septic tanks are and whether the wells are fine. One of the issues that we have in some places, not necessarily along the shoreline, but in other short-term rentals, is we have too many people occupying the structure, and the septic tanks begin to fail. The septic begins to leach out of the septic tanks. The drain field fails, and you now have raw sewage percolating out of the ground because you've got 20 people using one toilet in a house that was designed for 4 people and has a 500-gallon septic tank. Okay. Can we solve all the problems with an ordinance like this? No, you can't. You can do nothing, in which case, you know, we can prosecute everybody that we find that is renting their property on a short-term basis, but that becomes difficult. Because by definition, the short-term rentals, they're there and they're gone, okay? They come in on Saturday at noon and they leave the next Saturday by noon, if that's the normal rental schedule. It used to be, I don't know if it still is. It was always sort of a Saturday to Saturday kind of thing. I think the idea of licensing short-term rentals as a way to govern them and control is preferable than citing every person in Fox Farm Road that rents their property out for violating the zoning ordinance. I mean, we can do that. Single-family residences does not include short-term rentals. The courts have pretty much made that clear. It's a commercial enterprise. So if we want to go down Fox Farm and ticket Clara and her neighbor and everybody else that conduct short-term rentals of their home for violating our zoning ordinance and get injunctions preventing them from renting their houses out, we can do that if that's what you want to do.
But it would become quite cumbersome and quite costly.
It becomes cumbersome, it becomes costly, and quite frankly, to some extent, it's like swatting a gnat with a howitzer, okay? It's overkill. If the issue is occasionally you have renters that create nuisances in the neighborhood, then let's address those issues. Let's not simply throw the baby out with the bathwater and say you can never rent your property. It is a commercial operation, but it's commercial in the same sense that yard sales are commercial. Okay, people hold yard sales, and we can't stop them from holding yard sales, and people will continue to hold yard sales and garage sales forever because everybody accumulates junk, and we all want to get rid of it. And the way that we do that is have garage sales and yard sales. Well, honestly, those are commercial enterprises. You're selling goods and for money, okay? Just like the people downtown in River Street or the people in Myers, you're selling goods in return for money. But we don't go around and we don't ticket everybody that holds a yard sale in a residential district, because we understand that one of the benefits of being a property owner is that you can use your property to sell your old car or your junk if somebody else wants to buy it. Renting your property is a privilege of ownership of property. I mean, that's a constitutional right as a property owner, subject to the laws of the state and the local governments to do with your property as you wish. I mean, up until the 1920s, when zoning was finally held to be constitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court, there was no zoning. You know, you could have gas stations, gas stations back in the 1800s, but you could have, somebody could put a livery stable right next to your house, and you're now all of a sudden living right next to 25 horses, because there was no zoning. There was nothing that said we want livery stables in this end of town and we want houses on that end of town, because we think livery stables and houses don't necessarily go together. So, but it is a fundamental right of property, is that you have the right to rent your property. So, I mean, like I said, you've got two choices. We can do nothing. We can enforce the zoning ordinance and just say we don't want short-term rentals, and we're going to, we're going to sue Mrs. Cox here. We're going to sue Clara.
I don't rent.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you.
No, I don't rent.
We'll take your name off the list there.
I'll take my name off the list.
What's the number of rentals out there? Do you have a number?
How many people were in that?
I can't, I mean, from hearing my lovely neighbors,
They know what you do.
they would know. It seems that there's a lot. From my perspective, as a guy that just comes out here for a couple of weeks, in the summer, it doesn't seem to be a lot. I know exactly what they're talking about, because I've seen the cars go by, crying with kids hanging out the windows, but I can't tell you if the tattooed driver of that car is somebody's baby kid, or or is a multi-millionaire that owns 6 of those houses. I don't know.
There's more than 12.
There's like 12 houses old.
Well, we have 145 parcels out there, and I should be surprised if there's 12, but
So possibly.
I would say maybe 7 or 8.
These are all members of the association also?
All of
The 12 also?
and we all know each other. We all have everybody's
Everybody
phone
knows
numbers.
everybody there.
So
But this ordinance is not addressed to Foxfire. I mean, this is township wide.
Yeah, but when we think about it, the only places where you're going to be like trying to rent, from what I can tell from coming up here, is pretty much that street, Red Apple, just around in that area over there. There's not a lot of people renting houses around 31. There are some houses around 31 in Filer, like the place that we all know about, that I know about it, that corner lot there that has like the jamboree going every summer. Everybody seen that? Okay, that's my house. That's my house. Okay, so that's serious. I mean, I remark about that, and I think to myself, the way I think when I see the cars going by my house with the kayaks, I look at it, I think, gosh, it's kind of, that's kind of crazy, it's kind of wild. Boom, goes away, and I don't say anything. Now,
Most
if
of
they
the
were
time
doing
that
it all the
is
time, I would talk to the owner of that house. I would. And I feel what I said was that it's something that's best that we talk about as neighbors as opposed to as regulations. But I do hear and get everybody else, especially the people that are living up here full time, I get their perspective for sure. I understand that, and certainly your comments. Yeah.
It's not renting your right to rental as such. And I adore that the people who live in those houses will be with those renters. At that point you can't call them renters. But I don't see those people that own those homes on that beach, in walking, I don't see those people with these strangers. I see these strangers walking up my stairs, walking down the road. Those are the people I see. If I know, which as a community we do, your son is coming to visit with his 6 kids. No problem. On the beach, you ask, are you so-and-so's? Because you look like so-and-so. You know, and yes, sometimes they say yes, and sometimes they say no. If I really would appreciate that owners would be there. But it's the rental, as you said, it's the long-distance Chicago people who buy. I don't know those Chicago people. I've never met those Chicago people. I've met the renters, but not.
Well, one of the things is that you don't have a phone number or a contact for that Chicago people or the Los Angeles real estate investment trust. We'll get you for that. Sorry.
We'll turn your telephone off when you go to the...
Nor do they have to be members. I assume most of them are, very low.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with what your rules are out there in terms of that stuff, but
Our rules are so.
And just for clarification, we're not a deeded association. So rules have to do with the kind of clubhouse closes. There's people who have tried to initiate rules that tell you what you have to do on your own property, but we're not deeded. It's really, the association is, you get to get in the association if you own property in Lakeland subdivision. But it's not a deeded.
But this is township-wide. This isn't
Right.
just you guys.
Correct.
It's everyone.
Absolutely.
So, but a lot of people don't have those kinds of.
Right. I really appreciate that.
I think this comes with the recommendation from the planning commission.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on it.
Thank you for your...
Any other questions? I'm happy to field whatever questions I can field.
Well, the planning commission recommended it, so I'll make a motion.
I will second the motion.
We have a motion by Ball, support by Steggy, to approve the adoption of the ordinance to amend Charter Township Fire Code of Ordinances by adding new Chapter 35 to secure the public health, safety, and general welfare of residents and property owners of Charter Township of Fire and visitors to the township by regulating short-term rental properties to prevent public nuisances and safety hazards and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, Shirley, will you call the roll, please?
Lichinsky.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Wall. Yes. Steve Cruz.
Yes.
Steggy.
Yes.
Okay, item B is consideration of adoption of an ordinance to amend Chapter 41 weeds of the Charter Township of Fire Code of Ordinances and repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. And again, this is one that the Planning Commission has spent considerable time on working on and has recommended for adoption. Is there anything you want to comment on that?
Yeah, this is one where we just tried to bring it into compliance with state law to some extent. I mean, this was an old ordinance of the township. And state law now allows us, instead of having to send out certified letters to everybody because their grass is too long before we can cut it, it now allows us to simply post a notice in the newspaper in March of every year that says, in Fire Township, the grass has to be trimmed to 12 inches. And so you don't have to send them a certified letter before the township. At that point, you can go in and mow the lawn and send them the bill for the lawn mowing.
private.
Yes, yeah, how you cut it is up to you, but this does allow us
Lien on the tax bill?
to add the lien to the tax bill. Yes, that was what I was looking for. It's in section 4104. The state law does allow us to add that cost to the tax bill as a delinquent tax. They don't pay. So
I thought we had been doing that.
I think you have been, but it's clear now, and it wasn't clear in your old ordinance that you could do that. It is now. So this just sort of brings our whole grass ordinance into the 21st century.
I'll make a motion to accept the ordinance.
I'll support it. Motion by Brian Cruz, support by Machinsky to adopt the ordinance to amend Chapter 41 weeds, the Charter Township Fire Code of Ordinance, and to repeal all ordinances in conflict herewith. Any other discussion? Shirley, want to call the roll again, please?
Dean Cruz? Yes. Staley?
Yes.
Brian Cruz?
Yes.
Paul? Yes. Machinsky?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes. Item C is consideration of approval of an ordinance approving amendments to the development plan and tax increment financing plan number 1993-1 of the Downtown Development Authority of the Charter Township of Fire as amended, and repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith. And Richard, why don't you comment again? I know you've spent a considerable amount
Yeah,
of
this,
time working on
the ordinance that you have here is very short. It actually is supposed to have the amended DDA plan attached to it, because that's what this is approving. But if you have seen the amended DDA plan, all got it in prior packages. So this is sort of a cover sheet that will approve those changes. DDA did hold requisite public hearing. We tried to assemble a development area citizens council, as you recall. We were unsuccessful. We adopted an ordinance that exempted ourselves from that effort as allowed by law. And so this is now what we're doing. The tax increment financing component of the plan has not changed. That still stays in effect through 2054, I think. Whatever bonds for the sewer will get paid off. This just changes some of the language in the actual development plan and expands the number of projects.
Before we act on this, just a couple of things that I noted in there on the second page under item 4. Wording, I think that needs to be in the township clerk's office. And under item 7, I'm not sure on this one, adopted and published in full promptly after its adoption in the Manistee News Advocate, or its publication in the News Advocate.
Which one are you looking at?
Number 7.
Oh,
They're not going to adopt it, they're going to publish it, right?
Well, it says, after, in full, publish it in full, promptly after
its adoption.
In the Manistee News
Yeah,
Advocate.
the modifier is a little misplaced in that sense. It should say, it would speak better if it said published in the Manistee News Advocate in full promptly after its adoption.
Yeah.
The sentence means the same, but it's got a misplaced modifier.
That's why it confused me.
Yes, it does.
Depends on how you read this.
You gotta infer some comments in there that aren't really there, so.
Straight.
Okay, so with those two modifications, corrections, I don't have an issue with it.
Make a motion and we accept.
Motion by Brian Cruz, support by Dean Cruz, to approve the adoption of the ordinance approving amendments to the EDA plan to tax increment financing plan number 1993-1 of the Downtown Development Authority of the Charter Township of Filer as amended, and repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith. Any other discussion? Brian moved and Dean supported. Okay, Shirley, will you call the roll, please?
Walker.
Yes.
Sneed.
Yes.
Dean Cruz. Jacinski.
Yeah.
Brian Cruz.
Yes.
Paul. Yes.
Okay, item D is discussion and consideration of a joint meeting with the DDA board in January to discuss and explore the possibilities of development of the 20-acre township property parcels. This stems from the last Develop Filer Ad Hoc Committee meeting. They suggested that the two boards sit down together and discuss how we can best go about that and share that project. So the DDA this afternoon at their meeting, that board did approve meeting with this board, and so that's what I'm asking here is for approval of this board to set up a meeting to meet with the DDA board to discuss the development possibilities of that property. And what we kind of came up with was a January 22nd date, 3:30 afternoon, because we do have, at 2 o'clock that day, we have the bid openings for the Moon Creek project. And so we figured, being here at 2 o'clock, we should be wrapped up pretty easily by 3:30, hopefully, and so that we can meet jointly with the DDA. So that's the intent and purpose of that item.
Is that a meeting you want me at?
I don't know, I don't believe that we would need you at that meeting, Richard. There may be some questions and things that result from that we can follow up on.
Well, I wonder if we shouldn't just make a motion to have a meeting and then check the schedules. None of us really knew about the date until we got here right now. I have no idea if that's what's.
Yeah, that's fine. We can approve the tentative date depending on people's schedules. I would like to have this schedule go in January. That was a recommendation of the ad hoc committee, so I would accept a motion to that effect then. Motion by Cruz, support by Jacinski, to approve the Township Board meeting jointly with the DDA Board in January to discuss and explore possibilities of the development of our 20-acre township property parcels, with a tentative date being the 22nd at 3:30. If we can't get a quorum for that, then we'll look at an alternate date. Yes, 3:30. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item E is discussion of a presentation by Mark Miller, the Executive Director of the Manistee Chamber of Commerce, at our February or March meeting. Mark and I did have that discussion. He would like to meet with our Township Board, and he would like the opportunity to make a presentation to this board, and I told him I would seek to have it put on either the February or March meeting agenda. So, what are your thoughts? I'm trying to figure out that. We'd have to probably either select an alternate date or no, I won't be there for February. We could just set it for March. At this point in time, I don't know if And then I will extend the invitation to Mark Miller to attend our March meeting for a presentation. Okay, item F.
Shirley, when is election in March?
March 10th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
Is that the
Tuesday.
B&L shop?
Yeah, item E is D&L Shaw. I put some pictures in front of you. You recall that we approved some work being done at Magoon on the Autumn Olive back in November, and they did spend a couple of days out there. I have two pictures that show, I think the best picture is the picture showing the path from the large boulder that goes down to the creek outlet. As you recall, that was pretty much overgrown with autumn olive. And you can see in that picture that it's just really been cleared out nicely. The roadway into Magoon, into the parking area, both sides, if you've been out there since November, probably not, but if you have been, you noted a significant difference there as well. It was growing up in places right to the edge of the roadway, down in the ditches and everything, and they got a lot of that taken care of, cleaned up. There is still some autumn olive that they weren't able to get to on the east side of that path down to the creek outlet, and then along the trails. And that other photo that I put in front of you is a photo of one of the trails, and you can see the autumn olive is just growing over the trail. Creates a canopy of basically about a 3 or 4 foot wide hiking path right now. And so we would like to, Building and Grounds would like to recommend that we get them back there in the spring. And the reason we're bringing it up now is to try and get it on his schedule before he fills up. Bob Skira did have a discussion with him, and he felt he could get a lot of that taken care of and done in about another 8-hour period. And if you recall, what we contracted with him before ended up being, I don't recall if it was 10 or 12 hours. So at any rate, that's my intent there, is to get a board approval to have him at least pencil us in at this point in time for just about the same amount of work in the spring.
I'll make a motion that we do that for another 8 hours. It was a very good job. A lot of work done there.
I'll support it. Okay, we have a motion by Brian Cruz, support by Machinsky to approve hiring D&L Shaw to continue doing autumn olive removal work at Magoon Creek in the spring. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item G, I wanted to get approval tonight because we have a developed filer ad hoc committee meeting scheduled for, I don't recall now, I think it's either the 14th or 16th of January. We have a vacant seat on that committee since Patty Price resigned from the committee. She was one of the DDA board representatives on that committee, and in discussion today about the next ad hoc committee meeting, Matt Johnson volunteered, said he'd like to serve on that committee pending approval from his employer. So that's what I'm asking for here, is the ability to appoint Matt Johnson to that committee, again, pending approval from his employer.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Cruz, supported by Steggy, to approve the appointment of Matt Johnson to the Developed Filer Ad Hoc Committee, commencing the next meeting this month, pending his approval from his employer. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, public comment. Yes.
I have quite a lengthy request, but I wanted the board to hear. I talked with Terry about this with my water bill.
Oh, okay. Would you step to the podium, please, and
There's a story behind this sale too that I want to mention. Okay. Can everybody hear me all right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just have a big problem, I think, and I would like everybody to tell me what I can do about it. I've lived at 1305 27th Street since 1959. And my husband died 10 years ago. It'll be this Thursday on January 9th. So I am the sole person of responsibility for my property. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I am 81 years old. I am not available to do a lot of repairs around my house, and so I have to hire people to do it. Okay, I have a problem since the new water meters were installed. Two of those big buckets were filled with water from that meter leaking after it was installed. I didn't know it was leaking. The girl at the water department office said, "You must have a leak in your house," when I complained about the bill. And I said, "I have checked everything, but I didn't think to check by the water meter," until one day I was walking in the breezeway and I heard this drip, drip, and I thought, "Oh God, I wonder where it's coming from." So I finally went down the basement again and checked everything, but I didn't check by the in-pipe inlet of the water until I heard it again. And I walked over there, and there on the pipe, there's a nut here and a nut here. Those I could turn with my bare hands. This thing had been leaking so much, 1/3 of my basement was flooded. And I thought, oh God, now what am I going to do? So I called the hall, and nobody answered the phone. So then I tried to get a plumber. I called 3 different plumbers, couldn't get any plumber to come to the house. And I thought, oh, for crying out loud, this thing is going to make me have a swimming pool in the basement. So anyway, I called one of my daughters to ask what time her husband got off work at PCA. This was at 20 minutes to 3. And she said, he'll be either leaving at 3 or 3:30. I said, have him stop by the house, please. I said, the basement's flooding. I don't know what to do. I looked through all of your dad's tools. I can't find a pipe wrench. If I could have found a pipe wrench, I could have probably tightened it up enough so it wasn't dripping until somebody stronger could take care of it. But anyway, he came, and in the meantime, she called a grandson of mine. And she called back and said, Jason will be there in about 15 minutes because they live out on Cott Road. So they came and they looked at the situation and said, oh my God, what happened? I said, if you've got a pipe wrench, they brought a pipe wrench with them because I mentioned that to Kelly, that I couldn't find a pipe wrench. And so they brought one and they shut it off. and stopped the leaking. That pail was full of water going over the sides. I tried to move it. I couldn't budge it. But I'm not very strong like I used to be when I was a young gal. So anyway, we had, one of them brought in a thing that you do windows with, a squeegee long thing. So we kind of pulled all that away from the outside edges. And then, I can't think of his name right now. Isn't that awful? Don't let him know this because he's my son-in-law. I can't think of it right now. Todd. Todd said, do you have a shop vac? I said, yeah, there's one out in the garage. So he said, I'm going to go get it down here. So he brought it down. Lucky thing, when we bought it years ago, it was a dry, wet vacuum. So they vacuumed up the water and they squeegeed the floor, and we moved everything out of a little room my husband had built for like a pantry or whatever. We moved everything out of there that was on the floor. Oh, we worked like crazy for a couple of hours. Finally, we got it all cleaned up. But I complained to the girl in the office, and she couldn't do anything about it. I complained when I got the water bill. Okay? These are my water bills from 2019. I can't read the dates. I don't have I do have my glasses with me. See, when you get old, you gotta have everything with you.
Renee, can I ask you, oh, I'm sorry, Janet, the water meter that you're referring to being replaced, was that the new smart meter?
I guess so. It was the new ones that were getting put in all over the township.
Okay.
Okay. I have to get these right. Okay, the first water bill I have, I paid on May 1st. That was $33.26. Not bad. Then I paid one on 4/15 for $25.95. That one was. The next one was on 7/13/19. That one was $30.14. And then I get the bill in October. Okay, the amount due, $189.26. And I thought, oh my gosh. And if I didn't pay it by the due date, it would be $203.19. So I came over here, talked to the girl in the office. She said, you've got a leak someplace in your house. I said, we just went over that. I said, I don't have a leak anymore because it's been fixed. Okay. So now I just got this bill in the mail the other day. It says it's from October 1st to 12/31. This one is for $33.26, which is pretty much in line with the bills I've been getting for the 20 or 60 years that I've lived there. Anyway, I do have automatic sprinklers, but that summer I turned them off because we had so much rain. And I thought, this is stupid, running these things when it's raining like crazy. Okay. So anyway, I guess that's probably, I covered it all. I remembered most of it. So anyhow, I just wonder, has anything been done about that bill? I still think I paid way too much, and I think, according to the prices of these other bills, I think that should be adjusted, and I should have a rebate for this water.
Janet, can you, would you be willing to come in and sit down with me and our water operator? I kind of jotted down the amounts of those bills, but I didn't get the dates on all of them.
Okay.
I would like to look at those, and
Yeah,
off
but
the top of my head, looking at that, I remember our discussion, and I had suggested a place you might look for a leak, and I don't know how the meter didn't get tightened up.
I don't know either.
Or, you know, I would want to see the date that meter was installed.
I don't know that. I don't have that here.
We'd have a record of it here.
Okay, all All right.
If you'd be willing to come in and sit down with myself and our water operator.
Okay. Well, she had told me there was nothing that she could do about it because the meter read it, and that's what it is, and I would have to pay it. So I did pay it.
Yeah.
I did pay it, but grudgingly I paid it.
If it was due to a faulty installation of the meter that, you know, that could explain some of it. I don't know how much of it. The time frame, I guess, is the important thing with, you know, how long that was leaking.
Okay.
But we can figure that out. So if you want to, I'll make a note to Tammy to expect to call. Well, maybe it'd be easier if I just set up a meeting with you.
Yes.
If you will, after the meeting, just give me your phone number. And
Okay.
I don't know if I still have it or not, but give it to me.
No problem. Sure. I just don't know what to do. I said, my mind just
Yeah.
thinks about it, and I don't sleep at night, and I don't know what to do, and I just hate
Yeah,
the
looking
thought
at the figures-
that I would have to pay that amount of money and not get any of it back.
Looking at the figures that you quoted there, I want you to bring your bills in with you. Yeah, it looks like your average quarterly bill was running in the neighborhood of $30 to $35.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So,
And if I would get one that's like $59, $60, I would pay it not grudgingly, because I figured that was in the summertime when the sprinklers were going.
okay.
So I hope that it finally can be resolved. And I'm sorry I took up your time, people.
That's all right. Thank you, Janet.
Oh, I have another comment to make. The Christmas decorations this year. Remember, I was at a meeting and I really complained about those Christmas decorations. These were a much better improvement. But the only thing is, take them further to the city limits.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, it took some nasty emails and getting a CMS representative in my office before they actually got them fixed. But yeah, I agree with you. It was,
Yes. We'll just pass that on to the committee, that my friends and I, we really appreciate the effort that they made, and they looked really nice.
Thank you.
Okay. All right?
Any other public comment?
No, but they will take care of it.
I'm Pam Bowers, and I live in the Lakeland, which is next to Magoon. Whoops. And I just want to thank you for taking care of Magoon and, you know, doing the removal of the autumn olive. However, it's come out of the south, and obviously Lakeland south of that. What am I kind of just going to suggest to you guys is, you know, we have trimmed back the autumn olives along Fox Farm going down our way. And if you keep them trimmed, then pretty much we can control them. I know you're chemically controlling them. But I'm wondering if the road commission were still here, you know, if they cut further out, they could keep the autumn olives down our way, which would help not spreading them your way, so you have to go through this expense again. That's really all I wanted to say, but I think you're doing a fine job with, you know, trying to, especially the bluff work and warning people about it. Surprisingly, people are really stupid about that stuff, and you know, they need to be told to be careful. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, anything else to come before the board tonight? Tom, do you have anything?
Yes. I'm going to need board approval. The 20 acres, the snowshoe for cancer, they want to use our property to snowshoe on the 2nd of February. The gal told me that they have liability insurance, and she told me that they get a fire permit first. So basically all I want is an okay from the board to allow that to happen. There's no planning to us, it's just to be able to use that 20 acres.
A fire permit, are they looking at having a
They do.
bonfire?
He said they did it last year at the VFW, and they had a permit. And the only reason they want to come on our property is because they used to cross the road by PCH somewhere, and the liability, this way they're all in one piece of property.
roads, so this is up to the board. I'm gonna meet with her on Sunday, and we won't have a meeting until February 2nd, so it needs to be
What
approved.
day do they want it?
February 2nd.
February 2nd, it's a Sunday.
I'll make that motion that we approve the use of the township property by the
Stop cancer.
for the snowshoe stampede on our township property pending approval of the liability insurance, which we'll have Richard take a look at. I'll make sure it covers this.
Fire permit from Jim?
And
I asked Jim, and Jim said they didn't get one last year, but the gal told me they did. Now, is there another place they can get a permit?
Down Fowler Township.
do you see any issue with him getting a permit?
I don't have an issue with that, I just want to know where the fire's gonna be and how big they plan to have it. What are they gonna burn?
Well,
Are they gonna have?
I gotta believe the fire is gonna be on our property. How big it is, I can ask her on Sunday.
You can ask her on Sunday, then just tell her she needs to contact me, and then
I'm gonna have her contact you. You can have her.
I have a problem issue.
Yeah.
Again, so I'm kind of February, so you know, we're gonna have snow and syrup. It's coming, it's no doubt.
Okay, we have a motion by Walker, supported by Brian Cruz, to approve the Stomp Out Cancer Snowshoe Stampede being held on our township property.
Somebody give me the real name. I've heard about 4 different ones. Can you give
Tom?
me the real name?
I can get it to
It'll be
you.
on the name of the insurance certificate, I'm sure, so it's,
Stamp out cancer.
I wrote that
It's
once.
a snowshoe.
Okay.
All I'm doing is following up on it.
Anyway, any comment? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. No.
I got it all.
Is that it, Tom?
Yeah.
Brian, anything? Nothing. Tom? I guess I just wanted to remind everybody of the January 22nd, 2 o'clock schedule for here, bid openings for our Lagoon Creek project. I don't know what to expect, but from discussions I've had, I kind of anticipate that we might have several bids on that. I have talked with our local contractors about bidding on it, and Spicer Group did tell me that they anticipate a company from the Houghton Lake area will probably bid on it. And today I got a call from the Homers to let them in the lagoon so they can do some preliminary measurements out there because they intend to bid on it. So that is January 22nd at 2 o'clock here. 22nd, yes. That's all I have. Shirley, do you have anything else? Dean?
Nothing except my wife would say, fire. Christmas decorations, she liked them.
Okay. I would entertain a motion for adjournment then.
Make a motion.
Motion by Brian Cruz, support by Dean Cruz to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.